Uh, Hello, everyone. I'm Jean-Claude BeyondMystic, and welcome to the show. Tonight's episode, of course, is part 3 of Simulated Reality with SOLRETA Ontario. You can find her at solreta.com and also at SOLRETA Ontario on her YouTube channel. SOLRETA, welcome back to the show.
Thank you for having me. We were just having a good laugh backstage, saying, what are they called? The not limericks, the tongue twisters.
Yeah, tongue twisters. Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're giggling, among other stuff.
We're having fun. So, folks, thank you so much for joining us on this live interactive show. I do apologize for being late. This is my fault tonight. I was actually late. The kids were running late tonight. It was just a big hectic thing. So I pushed the show back 16 minutes so that we can start. And so anyways, thank you for joining us. And tonight we are simulcasting again also on SOLRETA's channel for the very first time. So if you're watching there as well, please remember to like, share, and subscribe. All right. So SOLRETA, where do you want to start tonight? We're in part 3 of this. We're already pretty deep into the conversation. And I think tonight we're going to have a little bit of a different take on things. And we're going to be a little bit more practical maybe for the audience too, and we'll take some questions also in the second part of the show. Hello, Desiree. Nice to see you. So where do you want to start, SOLRETA?
I think we should probably start with what I was getting shown this morning. So we've got a little diagram because JC and I were chatting backstage, and I said I've got to draw what they were showing me in the shower that they want to talk about today. So we have a little. You can see this little void, which is like negative entropy, and what they were showing me was that when you have that negative belief, or you have that energy, or your attention is focused on all of the things that are not happening, on all of I guess you would call it like negative emotions, and they're showing it's like a void, almost like a black hole that's sucking you in. And so what happens when we start to clear some of those negative beliefs, we start to like get ourselves up like a ladder out of that hole, and we start to form more of a balance. And then when we get that balance, we can put in those new affirmations, we can put in those new belief systems. So think of that negative entropy or the void as subconscious in a negative sense. So our subconscious can say things like, there'll be dialogue that, might say things like, you're not good enough, like why, who do you think you are to do this? Or, it's never worked before. Why would it work now? All of the negative self-talk that people have. So in order to stop or disrupt or get ourselves out of that negative hole, we need to kind of like karate chop that energy. And the way they're describing it is playful. And that's why I'm saying like, karate chop. Literally think of yourself when you get that negative thought, karate chop. Right. Whatever works for you. And then what you can do, we need to reprogram. So think about that's a computer program, a window that's popping up, and you're like swiping it away, not like swiping on Tinder or anything. You don't want it to like come back. You want a karate chop and then like just delete that window. So in order to program the new things that we want to have come in, we really need to change our state. Now, in order to get this positive propulsion, it can't just be as simple as changing the mindset. Even though we need to program, we need to get this computer reprogrammed, reorientated, refocused to find these positive things. So just like, if you're looking to buy a red car, all of a sudden, every car on the road is red. Right. You really start to set your mind on these positive things. So you need to surround yourself with positive things if you want to create that positive life. So sometimes it might mean a clear out of, friends on a physical or a Facebook friends list type thing. Yeah, karate chop. But yeah, so we have this positive one, that positive propulsion. So we want to create almost like a stargate or a portal that we want to drive ourselves through. Now, taking that divine inspiration is something that will shoot you through this portal. The other things that will do it, we were just talking about, not having had coffee this morning and tonight, you and I, and I'm like, yeah, I just feel energetically like I don't need it. I've got magnesium water, positive charge of the minerals, giving me that propulsion. So really thinking about it, even down to like what you consume, whether it's on a physical food, drinks level, whether it's on music level. So this morning, because it's early here, it's about 8:20 a.m. So even when I was getting ready this morning, I was just saying I came across an artist that I hadn't heard of before, who is Lizzie Jeff, and she has like kind of like a little bit of R&B type music, a little bit of hip hop style, but it's like positive affirmations are playing in the background. She's talking about like, you know, manifesting. She's talking about take a deep breath, come into alignment. So instead of just like putting the news on or something like that, I'm setting my intention. I'm setting the energy, and I'm dancing around while I'm getting ready, you know, doing a little bit of twerking in the bathroom, doing a little bit of belly dancing. And what that does, it shakes out any of the bad stuff. It helps to just get rid of it, because what happens when we shake, when we move, when we dance, we let go of things that are held in the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath is that covering that you see, that sort of sinew, white see-through stuff that you get on meat. So when you see like animals in a dog fight or a cat fight and they go at each other, you see them go and shake it off straight away. You'll see them literally shake, because what they're doing that we're not doing as humans is that energy, that fear, that fight goes into the nervous system. And so we're like wired like this because we're not shaking it off. Animals are shaking it off. They know when it's safe to go back into that relaxation state, but they're letting it go out of their muscles. They're letting it go out of the nervous system. So we need to think about how can we create this as humans. So dance is an amazing way to do it. And for those of you that have been following me for a while know that, you know, I have a couple of belly dance videos up, things like that. I'm really fond of dancing. If that's not your thing, changing state by getting out into nature, getting into something that's real, because we live in such an artificial, constructed, simulated reality. And especially now that we're online so much, you know, we see this simulated reality. We see this indoctrination of what they're trying to tell us that we're heading towards. Right. And we need to karate chop it. We need to pattern interrupt and not make that our reality. We need to individually start broadcasting a new signal.
I love that. Absolutely. A couple of things you said there too about the energy and not drinking coffee. The last 3 days, I haven't slept, and there's a little bit of bags under my eyes. I was just like feeling like sleeping on an electrical wire. And Sarah also, she's not sleeping. And I was like, oh. And as we were talking, I brought up the Schumann resonance. And yeah, today we had a little bit of disturbance there. I'm not sure if it's just that. Yeah. So you let us know in the chat if you're watching now too. Are you feeling jittery anxiousness, displaced anxiousness? Because I've been outside working in the greenhouse, and then all of a sudden I have these heart palpitations. I was like, what's going on? And a little bit of a headache too. The last couple of days, again, like not sleeping, headaches, and heart palpitations. So I don't know. A lot of other people have told me the same thing on the last show 2 days ago as well. So you guys let us know what you're thinking here.
Ben just said the same. He said the same.
Okay. Yeah, so let us know, guys. And wait, I see, just before I lose it off the chat here, right at the beginning, Jenny Alicia said, had an amazing reading with SOLRETA last night.
Thank you, Jenny. That's so sweet.
Very good. Thank you for that. All right.
I love meeting everyone one-on-one and having that time with them too. You have a really special audience. So I've just, I have a lot of gratitude.
I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate. I know, like, the channel's growing, but it's like quality people. And sometimes definitely. I'm like, okay, let's just stop it there. It's enough, because I want to communicate with everybody, but at the same time, it's like there's not enough hours in every day. Like, you should see my email box. I just can't respond to all of them. I get sad sometimes. I'm like, well, fuck, just move on. I don't know. You know, of course, I take care of people who are on Patreon. I do my very best to respond to them within a day or 2 days. But the email from my website, I just can't go through. There's like 1,300 emails right now. I just can't go through it. It's just
I'm the same. I'm so slow on email because of it as well. That's why I always say, if you're trying to send me a message, or even if you're a past client of mine, you want to let me know how things that you're manifesting are going, and how life is unfolding, and let me know, because a lot of my clients will text me and they're like, hey, this just happened, and I love sharing that with them. So I always say, go to my Facebook, go to my Instagram, so you'll see your face pop up. Whereas email, you just get inundated.
Yeah, and it's just like, I know how you feel. Holy shit, a lot of people are feeling the same thing. Electricity running through me, sensitive. Thank you for that. Schumann resonance, Desiree. Yes, something is not right. Yeah, something's weird. Headaches and anxiety. Okay, I'm not the only one.
So I was just talking with JC too before we started the show, that a few of my friends that are ET experiencers have all had we were chatting about like core wound stuff. So for me, And as your viewers will probably know, like we've talked about it before, I'm dyslexic. So I'm writing a psychic course. We're sort of like getting into the tail end of things. And I just had this big block come up. And, my friend's like, why aren't you dedicating time and stuff to it? And I literally was sitting down trying to do it. And it was just such a block. And all of this stuff from early primary school just came up, because the thing with dyslexic and brains that are not 100% neurotypical, or we're wired different, or, have a kind of almost super wired in a way, because we're just wired for different things. So I see it as a superpower than anything. But yeah, what I noticed was it's like I'd built a little bridge over this dyslexia, and all of a sudden I'd landed on the other side of it as an adult, as a grown up. And there's been like a challenge just come up, I think because it's something that I have wanted to get out onto paper for so long, because I usually go and teach, and I'm fine, teaching and speaking in person. I love it. I love that energy interaction with people. Whereas to have to put it down onto paper, it's like there's these chords that are coming up. So that's that negative entropy that we were talking about. It was sucking me back into this void that stems in a long, long time ago for me, back to class 1 or class 2. So there obviously hadn't been a clearing around this. So I've actually booked myself in to go get some hypnotherapy. I saw someone else ask about hypnotherapy on there. So I'm going to go work on that. I'm going to do it with a quantum hypnotherapist to help clear any of those, limiting self-beliefs, and get the higher self to come in and step in. I know that my brain was wired this way in order to work the way I do, but sometimes in a human functional way, it would be good to be able to, to do math and to just get down what I want to say onto paper. So I'm using voice dictation at the moment, which is definitely helping. But I've noticed other people's core wounds, whether it's to do with, like self-awareness, how they look, how they feel, like anything that sort of feels that it's holding you back is coming up at the moment. Now we have just come through an Aries new moon as well. Mm-hmm. So it is time to take inspired action. It is time, like we're literally got that fire under us that's trying to shoot us into this next dimension of who we are and how we live. And I know for, myself and a lot of clients, because we do tend to come into synchronization doing this work, is that there's so much change coming up, but we can't get bogged down on it. We've got to keep change going. Yeah. So as we were talking, I think last week on this show too, so I'm currently moving. So everything's happening at once. But you can't let that stop you or slow you down. Pull in more resources to help you with that, to help that shift happen.
Right. A couple of things there. The core wound. So what you're saying is that, if I understand correctly, a lot of your ET experiencers, your friends who are in this community, are all being, I guess, triggered or pointed to, or having that core wound reopened to look at right now. Why do you think that is? What's the timing now that's forcing people? Is it because they're about to be activated, and before they're activated, we need to make sure those core wounds are like sealed off, no more cracks in the shield? Like, is it go time? What do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think it's that. I don't feel a negative energy around it, even though it brought up a couple of tears and some emotion. It felt really in my heart, like I'd been holding it on my chest, or that I tried to sort of cope and have, different layers of that inadequacy was the word coming up around it, or the emotion coming up. So it's a reminder to look at all the areas of life that you are adequate in, or you thrive in, and you do better in, to kind of bring that scales tipping balance. And the ETs are showing us at the moment as well, all of this, because they want us to cross that finish line into bring this higher ascension energy. And if we've still got cool things that are vibrating and resonating and running as like little programs in the background, it's not going to gel with this new operating system of where we're going. So please don't anyone beat yourself up about these things. Definitely notice that it's happening, listen to the subconscious. And sometimes it's to do with the amygdala. It's a fear response. It's a trauma response. So if you're not able to get to the bottom of it by yourself, please talk to someone who can really help pull you out of that hole, whether it's myself in a psychic reading and working with looking into quantum field and what we can do to pull you out of that, or whether it's talking to, a hypnotherapist, talking to a counselor, talking to, some friends that you trust that will hold that space, will hold that nurturing energy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's very good. M9 here is saying, it's the first big energy wave of ascension, more to come, nothing to worry about. On one hand,
shaking out the stuff that we don't need.
Right, right. It's funny too because I've been talking to, or a lot of people have been talking to me in the last couple of weeks, trying to maybe punch through whatever frequency gate they were in, and a lot of it had to do with the core wound. So it's fascinating that that's coming up that way too. These weren't experiencers per se. At least I don't know that they were. Maybe they are. Maybe they're not. But it was still coming up. So I find that's interesting.
Yeah, and I thought it's really important to just, skim over. We need to talk about it because, if it's happening in collective, in my collective, that little circle is probably, experiencing other people coming into that collective or other people vibrating with that too.
Right. I'm still up in the chat here, but she says, "I love you, Jenny." And I think that's from the first quote where you had the reading.
Really I love you too.
All right. Let me go through some comments here, and I wrote some more notes. I want to ask you a few more questions on what you were talking about, but I just want to do this before I lose the buffer here. Psalm 37, very anxious, emotional today, migraine yesterday. Okay. Lisa D.
I've noticed that from a couple of people around me. They've been saying they've had migraines and things too. It's almost like what you're prone to holding energy or what your preset program is. So for some, it might be emotionally that they hold like a little bit of extra fluid or a little bit of puffiness, or it might be that they're more prone to migraines. My
mom said the same thing the last couple of days. She says, "Oh my God," she didn't gain 30 pounds, but she says, "I feel like I gained 30 pounds in 3 days. How's that possible? I have the same diet." I'm like, maybe it's water. Maybe there's something weird happening here and your body's adjusting.
And it can be definitely emotionally connected as well.
Right. Oh, wow.
So yeah, there's a couple of symptoms that come with this shift and change. Dizziness is another. I saw someone say jitters. Oh, and thank you to Alan who was just
about Ukraine too. There's something happening in Ukraine. I did a show with Janine a couple of days ago too. Yeah, there's something brewing there too. So on the world stage, it is affecting our consciousness for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just going to say thank you to Alan. He said to remember to like and share both our channels, which is lovely.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. Very good. Okay, so let me try to scroll back down to the chat here, make sure I haven't missed anything. And then I have a few more
there's one. Denise is saying as well, what's the difference between SOLRETA's reading and healing sessions? I don't know which one to get. So in my 2-hour sessions, some people will choose to do looking into the cards and then choose to do, healing in the second path. It kind of comes in all under that same banner. So we can always work with both in a 2-hour session. With the kinesiology, I've got it set up for one. It's more kind of like goal orientated, but not really looking into the insight side of things. It's more like through, I guess, like muscle testing, like surrogate muscle testing, looking into like what's coming up on a deeper level. But I definitely recommend the 2-hour sessions where we look into it from a spiritual level, and then we can check in and look into things from an emotional level. But it's all about creating change in the 2-hour sessions, as well as the psychic reading side of things. Where we do tarot, I look into your aura, see what energies I see around you, and describe what that means. What do those colors mean? What does the placement mean? Sometimes it's drawing spirit guides around you that are appearing in the readings too.
Very good. And speaking of a 2-hour session, you have a coupon code for us tonight, do you?
I do. I've got for the first 10 viewers that book, I've got the code Mystic because of BeyondMystic. And yeah, so there'll be $30 off a 2-hour session for the first 10. Yeah.
And when is that coupon code good until?
So it'll just be whenever like those first 10 bookings.
Oh yeah, okay, sorry.
Yeah, so you have to get in quick to get it. But
right, do get in quick, guys. You might want to do that now during the show, because a couple of days ago I interviewed Megan Rose, a psychic medium, and she booked like 50 sessions within the first 15 minutes. She's like, "Oh my God, I'm booked till July or August."
That was the same. And that was the same last week. It was just like I had my phone next to me, and it was just like ping, ping, ping in the background.
So guys, if you want to check that out, let me bring the link here down so you guys can go and book a session here. And we have quite a few people in the chat already who've had bookings with SOLRETA and who can attest to how amazing they are. So give it a try. And I've had one too, and Sarah's had one too. So I know what I'm talking about. I really recommend you guys give it a try if you haven't already. And if you have, but we're in a different time space now, and we're looking at different maybe opportunities for growth, it's always good to maybe have that check and balance and have that second opinion here to see where maybe you can improve on, especially now, because going back on this idea of having to work on the inadequacies, I feel it's important. And I'm spitballing here with you, SOLRETA, because I think I've said this with you before on the show. I feel now that what we're doing as humans, we are galvanizing our cycle for the next 24,000 years. So we have the opportunity now to break a lot of those karmic loops that have been affecting us through all of these generations that brought us here. And now we have the choice: do I want to do that again for another 24,000 years, or do I want a better version of that? So every choice you make here, and I believe a big demarcation was probably December 21st last year, and you guys can talk about Uluru here and some of the meditations and the practices you brought forward there. But I think that was also connected to the Hopi tribe, where we had those two delineations in their prophecy. And so the further we go from December 21st without picking the right timeline, the harder it is to go on the other one. So I think that's why, if people are being pushed to look at those core wounds, it's because it's go time. And there's very little time. We're at the 11th hour here to really galvanize that future that we want.
Yeah, definitely. And if you're doing, things the same way that you always have, or if it's been something that you've, been thinking about doing for years and years, and you haven't taken that leap, now is the time to take the leap, to try something different, to break those bonds that are tying you back, and to move forward with it.
Right. Let me just put the link again here to your website down into the chat. So the first, how many, did you say the first 10 or the first 15?
The first 10. The
first 10. Okay. So that
you'll get $30 off for a 2-hour session.
And mystic is one word, lower caps, higher caps?
Yeah. Or it's just in uppercase.
Uppercase, mystic is the word. Okay. All right. So I think I'm down to the chat. I missed a few guys. I'm sorry, but we had a lot of people saying, yeah, we've been feeling a lot of that same weird electrical malaise. Call it that. I'm not sure how else to call it. Okay. So you mentioned something about quantum hypnosis, and I wanted to ask you this.
Yeah.
I believe there's a very famous person down under somewhere. Is it New Zealand? Is it Australia? I forget. She's an older lady, short cropped, blonde hair. What's her name?
Her name's Dolores Cannon. So she
No, not Dolores. No,
another one.
Yeah, another lady who specializes in abductees.
Oh, that would be my friend Mary Rodwell.
That's it. Okay. Your friend. Okay. So, because I was going to say, if you guys in the chat know who that person is, maybe SOLRETA can go, because you just mentioned you were looking to do something. Okay.
So yeah, I've had a session with her. It's fascinating, especially for the ET side of things. And I've even got, because back when I was when the house was a little bit quieter, I was able to do hypnotherapy sessions myself. So I'm not able to give them at the moment because it's just too noisy where I live. But I've got, I think it's on my channel, and it's on, I'm trying to think of Joe Soletti's channel. So we were both on Kerry Cassidy's show on Project Camelot, and it was to do with the hypnotherapy side of things. So he was someone that I worked with I was working with him as a hypnotherapist, doing a session.
Wow.
So
I'd bring that up, but of course, Kerry got her YouTube channel deleted here a couple of weeks ago, so she's gone.
I didn't know that.
So beyond the show, next Tuesday, I believe, I'm interviewing her. Let me see if I can bring that up for the audience here. I'll be interviewing her about her book. So we're doing a book review. Can you guys see that here? Yeah, the gene code. The Rebel Gene. Yeah, so that will be on Tuesday, April 20th at 3 p.m. And I still have a little bit to go here to finish for that book review, but that should be fascinating. And so far, the book review, I really recommend you guys give it a try.
She was so lovely when she interviewed me. Yeah. And I know you've had her on a few times. I love the shows that you do with her. There's always just these little pearls of wisdom and gems, and she's definitely got that rebel gene.
Right. So Jenny says, hey, great reading with SOLRETA. And Jenny sent me a note earlier today to say thank you so much. Much gratitude for that, because this was one of the gifts that you and I gave to the audience. We gave a couple of readings a couple of weeks ago to the audience. So I'm happy, Jenny, that you liked that and that it was productive for you. And maybe if you want to share your story at one point, if you feel comfortable with that, we'll have you on the show. So you let us know. That'll be fun. Somebody says here, Denise Hébert. She says, excellent, interested in tarot, but probably need more. I'm booking now. Run. Yes, hurry up. I love that. Okay. What's this? Adriano says, how much is a 2-hour session?
Yeah, so I've got the prices on my website. So for a 2-hour session, it's $300. So it means you'll get $30 off. So it will bring it down to $270. We are cheaper in the Australian, I guess.
That's pretty. Yeah, because a lot of guys are charging 190, 200 for 1 hour.
And that's US. So I'm Australian dollars. So it does mean that it works out cheaper here.
Yeah.
And yeah, for a 1 hour session, it's $150.
Okay. Well, that's very reasonable. Very good. Okay. Let me see if I have any questions here from the chat before we move on. Ringing of the ears. Let's talk about that a little bit here. So I'm just at the bottom of the chat here. So for the people who are just coming to this now, and there's a lot of them, SOLRETA. The channel is growing really fast, and I'm noticing that I kind of have to slow down a little bit to bring a lot of them up to speed to all the conversation we're having. So let's talk about the ringing of the ears here a little bit, what that means, and why you should be paying attention to it, and what you can do to maybe empower yourself from some of those messages that are coming through there. Let's have a quick discussion on that, SOLRETA.
Yeah, so with the ringing of the ears, sometimes with me as an experiencer, it has been ET related, and sometimes it will get me to step outside and there'll be a UFO there. Not always. Sometimes it's that they want to come through and bring through information. Other times it's that there's, thank you. I hope I'm saying your name right, Jolanta or Yolanta. Looking forward to meeting you. But yeah, sometimes it's that there might be not a distortion in the field. There might be something coming into alignment within this field. So if we really start to look at the way that we exist in this third dimensional reality, so say we're here as a human, and then we've got fourth dimension existing just outside of that. So it's that peering behind the curtain, or the ETs peering to come in and and to work with us. So sometimes they'll send frequency and you'll get high pitch auditory. So I know a lot of people are like, yeah, but what does it mean? So you need to ask them to come through in a way that you can understand, because they're bringing it through as vibration. So sometimes when that's happening, if you're not driving a car or operating heavy machinery, sit, close your eyes, actually feel into it. Is this something that they're sending? And you can feel in almost as if you're receiving it, but use your knowledge, use your intuition to check if it's there for your best and highest good. Does this feel like something that's more of like a benefit? Does it feel something that's positive? Always have your guard up when it comes to that, because you don't want to open that floodgate or door to things that feed off human energy.
Okay, that's good advice. Very good advice. Okay. Moving forward. How to hack quantum reality. We talked about this just before the show. Do you want to get into this topic now, or still do we want to go a little bit further in the core wound? Because you didn't mention earlier. Well, I'm hesitant to mention one thing because it's going to open up a can of worms and we'll be here for another 3 hours. Maybe I'll let you take the steering wheel for a second. Where you want to go with this?
I can feel the energy. How about we clear the space with that first, but we set a time limit on it. Right, we're going to talk about it for no more than 10 minutes.
Sure, let's do that. Okay.
All right, do you want to start?
Do I want to start? Yeah. So a lot of I had a series last year entitled Kundalini Secrets Revealed. And in there, I had guests come on the show who explained that in many of these secret societies, they have the knowledge where they understand that at the big O, and we've talked about this a little bit in the last show, you have your maximum energy potential to create and to manifest your life. Therefore, hack the reality that you're in. So the closer you are to that consciousness, the closer you are to being able to manipulate that consciousness, to game the system, so to speak. So this is one of the ways you can achieve that. Now, of course, we're not going to do a 10-minute show on how to do the big O. You guys can figure that out by yourself. But just suffice it to say that even in my last series here with Elena Danan discovering Egypt, she talked about it, and we were getting a lot of distortions at the end of the show, and it was weird about some of these sexual ritual practices that she was also initiated in when she was in Egypt there for a number of years doing some archaeological work. And so we're probably going to come back and do a show just on that. We're not sure where we're going to park that yet, because that is very difficult here for the censorship algorithms on YouTube. So SOLRETA, let's maybe track back a little bit here, because in you were part of some of those series, Raising Kundalini, I believe was the title, last year, and you spoke about how some of the native tribes around the world also hold these frequencies and these teachings. So we have the secret societies, the Sisterhood of the Rose, the Temple of Isis, all of these guys, the Freemasons, they hold that at that level. But there are also the original peoples around the earth that are still using that to this day, even in Australia. So let's talk about your experience there as a child and teenager growing up with this understanding in the local community. And then maybe we'll have time to take a few questions for the audience, but we'll tread carefully on some of the language.
Yeah. And I guess there's some things that I can talk about and some things that I can't talk about. But, definitely what we would call in Western world, things that are very similar to Tantra, do exist in culture here in Australia, in original culture, and it's a lot to do with energy. If you look at the human side of things, and you look at us being able to generate this orgone field or this torus field. We are little batteries, we are powers, and when you bring two together, especially if they're that counterpart energy, you can create amazing things. Now, that's not to say that you can't do this if you're working by yourself, but you can direct, you can funnel this energy, you can open up different stargates and things with this energy too. There's so much that you can do with it. And this is why I guess we've had the negative side of it. We've had the religious side come in and, tell us that it's bad, tell us, all of this shrouding of information has been placed over it. So I really invite everyone to look into the positive side of it and what it could represent. I'm careful as to say too much because I don't want to risk anything happening to your channel, JC, but there's been amazing experiences working with this orgone energy and working with shifting. Sometimes you will even have the third dimensional reality cease to exist for moments in time when you're working with this on a really high level. And you'll even have where, if you're working with a partner, where you might even full on disappear in front of the partner. And this will be even when you're working with it in an energetic sense, not even physically having to be intimate. So there's so much that has not been, I guess, shown in this kind of paradigm or this kind of sexual nature, even just to do with the energy of it. I'm just really careful not to say certain words. But
what we can do, so I showed the first image. Let me just flip it very quickly again here. People know what we're talking about, and I'll go to this core image here. So you just mentioned something here too, that you can use it for your betterment, for your empowerment. That's the big thing here. We live in this system where there's an energy extraction matrix on the planet. So the first thing is to cut that cord, stop the leaking, so to speak, of that energy. And then the next step is to use it to empower yourself. But there's also something else. So you can use this to heal other people, right? You can send energies, like some remote Reiki healers. They're tapping into this at some level. So everybody can do this. This is our innate. And it's a technology, and it's already technology here. So maybe what you can talk here on YouTube, without getting into too much trouble, is how to use this technology and this energy as keys for some of the megalithic sites on the planet. Let's touch that a little bit. I know some of the audience here will be like, what are you guys talking about? And again, you come from an experience where you have some native tribe leaders and elders who are very, very familiar with this too, and who are currently using this type of technology as well.
Yeah. So I guess you can generate this energy field. And if we look at the root chakra, we look at the dantian, and like that base level energy that connects us to the core of the earth, we can use this and we can cycle it up. We can, get that energy flowing, get it pulsating and bring it up. And activate our auric field, activate our kundalini, because essentially we're really working with kundalini. And, through different kundalini experiences, you can have spontaneous awakenings, you can have different shifts in dimensional reality. Because if we're working with this sort of energy and intensity, this creates ripple effects, not just in our dimension. So sometimes this will open up portals, it will open up stargates. You'll get ETs come in and be like, oh my God, what like attracted to the light that this is manifesting, because you'll see it like a light go on in the aura. And that's sometimes why, it might seem that you disappear or reality will disappear for a moment. Oh, that's what I'm sort of like, I guess, having had that experience, I think it's to do with this induction and this raising of the kundalini energy. So you can, if you're working with a partner and you're raising this energy together and you're working on breath and working on intention and focus, and you're starting to feel that energy is kind of like dance and harmonize together, what you'll notice, you can bring the chakras together. So you can connect your root chakra, breathe into it, feel that connection. And it feels like when you've got those two magnets and you've got that energy, but you'll feel your consciousness actually start to connect. And you'll feel your consciousness and energy almost as though you're in that person's body, or you're experiencing that quantum shift where you're vibrating in and out of each other's bodies, yet you might not physically be connected. This might be an energy practice or meditation that you're doing one-on-one. But the more that you work and you merge your chakras up and up, and a little bit of a warning, sometimes you'll get to one chakra and you'll be so overwhelmed energetically that you might have an orgasm. You might step into that heart space and just kind of explode. So you really need to hold that energy, attention, and focus, breathe through it, because we want to really get it to, as high a level as we can, to experience that shift and experience that field. But, like while you're practicing, while you're working with it, it's not a bad thing if you're going to have a heart orgasm. That's quite amazing too. So
can you touch briefly? Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, the reason we want to generate this, you can funnel this into different things. So say there's something that you want to manifest, you can funnel and channel that energy into that. Say you want to focus on, peace and healing and awakening on the world. You can visualize that energy coming up and showering the earth and bringing this level of awakening. So there's many different things that people choose to focus this kind of energy technology on.
So let's address Walt's question here. How do you direct the energy? So that saying goes, where your attention goes, the energy flows. That's one, and it's just as simple as that. But some practices also are to write it down before you get to the moment of the big O. So write it down, and at the big O, you can repeat your manifestation right there. The other thing you need to consider also is that as you're bringing this energy up, just as it's also being taught in the schools of alchemy, your heart has to be in it for this magic to work. So if you're raising this energy through, I'll call them old programs and distortion programs that we all know exist on the planet, from the movie industry, music industry, porn industry, and all of that, if any of those little frequencies are attached to you raising that energy for your goal, you are polluting your manifestation. So you have to be very careful there. So you want to really bring that frequency to the love frequency as best you can. So if that's with a partner or if that's with yourself, you have to be concentrating really, really hard on that love note, as opposed to the desire note or all the other notes that are the contrary to what I'm saying. So I don't want to say the words here. So I hope that helps, Walt. That's a little bit as far maybe as we can go on this episode here.
Yeah.
Touch this. John is asking, if you are psychic, why would you be told things that are not allowed to talk about? This is an awakening time, so why hold back? Okay, so John, you might be new to the channel, but I lost my channel in December because we were talking openly about this. The system here and on many other platforms is still not ready for a lot of this information, although you might be, and that's why you're here looking for it. We are, and that's why we want to talk about it. We're trying to do it in a responsible way, up until the point where we no longer have the censorship that we have now. And so Red and I can go and record a video and put it on other platforms where nobody is going to see it. But right now we're doing it here. We're still trying to reach as much people and to piquer la curiosité in French, to pique your curiosity, I think is the translation, to get you started at least in getting your attention to this frequency, so that you start searching this for yourself, because a lot of this information is also on the internet. You can find it, and you're going to have to attune your heart to finding that as well. So we're just trying to help you, not you necessarily, the person asking John, but everybody here on the channel, get on this roadmap and this frequency of thinking about these things in this way to empower yourself. And this is what the channel is all about. It's about self-mastery, and controlling your energy is a big part of self-mastery. So I hope that helps, John. I know it's frustrating. I wish we could speak out loud on everything too, but of course, if we lose a channel, it'll take us a while to start it going over again. And I don't want to do it again.
He might be referring to, because he said something to do with, if you're psychic, why don't you speak about this too? So some of the knowledge is not for me to share. some of the knowledge, out of respect to some of the originals here, is not for me to share. And there's some things that I got told in confidence that's, just between me and other people. And it's just, I can talk about some things, but just not everything. I just want to say a big hello to my beautiful friend Josh and Omar. I see that they're watching.
Awesome. So John, I hope that helps. And just to back up SOLRETA too, with the native elders that we were working with in New Mexico, there's a lot of things there too that we were strictly told, don't talk about this. It's really a lot of these places are sacred sites. First of all, they don't want non-initiates to go there and to disgrace really the sites. And energetically speaking, and in Australia particularly, and maybe you can touch about this one, there are some of these sites, they're absolutely dangerous if you're not holding the right frequency to even approach or touch. Maybe you want to talk about that. So again here, this is why some of this information is still held back. And it's not because we don't want to share the information. It's because that information will find you when you're ready for that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And that's exactly what happened to me. I was taken under the wing of a beautiful Aboriginal couple back when I was only probably, I was maybe only about 23. So I'm 40 now, so a really long time ago. And it wasn't me seeking them out. It was, one of my best friends who's, a bit older than me. She was working with them, had worked for them for 20 years. And she started to tell them about me and about, different abilities and about, at the time, before I had a few more freckles, I had freckles in the shape of a star system. And what their belief was, this particular couple, they said that this means that you have that connection to that star system. It's like you're born and you have that energy or frequency, or you've had a past life in that star system. So they were, really wanting to meet me. They put me through a few different tests. So I had to pass different psychic tests that they had and different tests around objects that I'd never seen or experienced before. And as you know, I work with Stephen and Evan Strong to work as a psychic as well, to hold some of these sacred objects. So objects have found me, even from that younger age. But yeah, I had to go get physical tests done too. They told me that the way that my eyes work was not sort of normal. And what they mean by that, they literally said to me, the way that you can see energy and the way that your vision works, you must have some Aboriginal or African DNA. And I'm like, well, I'd have to probably be like the whitest ever, because I'm quite fair-skinned. And we did actually get our ancestry back not long ago. My dad said that we did have a really tiny amount from Papua New Guinea, which used to be connected to Australia and was, more part of that original culture. So it's more like Islander DNA. But yeah, the test came back with the eyes. So I had above average vision. So my eyesight was just outside of the normal spectrum of things. So what they told me, what they saw in me, it came back. And, it came back in the genetic test, even though it was a minute amount. And I do have dark birthmarks on my body where it's almost like those genes are trying to come to the surface. So there's a few different reasons, but it wasn't something that I necessarily went and sought out. It was something that came to me, the same as, I've always been having different groups come to me and try and get me to work with their group or come into the group. Right. Even from, like a really young age, like psychic groups and that want to recruit me. And so a lot of my experiences have come through just standing in my own energy field and some people, but it's not always positive ones too. You have to know when someone has, I guess, intentions to use you for their particular needs rather than to support and to help nurture and grow. So you need to know the difference between that when different energies come at you as well.
Yeah, we can do a whole show of warnings on that one. And of course, that also answers the question to John, why is some of this information being held back? It's also to protect people who are just starting up with this and who might not have all the tools and the discernment tools to protect themselves at this point. And also what SOLRETA was just talking about, maybe what we're doing, and I'm trying to think out loud here, is to have the conversation to a certain point where we can bring that frequency in your mind space to at least be thinking about this so that you do a little bit of the work. And as you're doing the work, your frequency continues rising. And then the people around you in your communities or on YouTube here will see you, because suddenly you will be a frequency match for this information. And then this information will pour into you. Like you'll get the everybody on all these groups that are reaching out to SOLRETA to do this work because they see that frequency in her and they want to do that work with her. When they don't see that frequency in you, this information will be obfuscated from you. I hope that helps. I'm not trying to sound condescending.
Speaking of frequencies and ringing in the ears. So should we move on to look into, I guess, what the cards are saying in relation to part 3 with the simulated reality, and with, I really want to focus on the positive of quantum reality too, because I think this is the angle. You know, we're getting fed simulated reality every day. Turn on the TV, turn on radio, you know, go into stores and see the signs that are up at the moment to do with the current theme of things, or the current story that's being sold to humanity. So should we look into how...
Yes, but before we do that, give me a minute here. I wanted to ask you, speaking of the genetics, you were talking about that. What the hell are you doing? You're looking even more Nordic today than you did last month. As I started the show, I'm like, you look a lot like Lagertha in Vikings. Look at you.
I need a shield and a sword.
Right. Oh my God. It's coming out of you.
I've always joked about, you know, with a partner, it's like, you know, having that divine masculine, that Viking energy, not the one that's into like raping and pillaging and all of that stuff, but you know that. And I do have Viking heritage myself. So I've got a lot of Scandinavian heritage too.
Right.
That's so funny.
Glass Effects is making light of it too. I appreciate that, Glass. Yeah, so no food for you if you're not in tune. Exactly. We're trying to help, basically. Yeah. Okay, I don't see John responding, so maybe he's gone. He just said his thing and he left. But anyways, we spent a lot of time, and I think it was worth it too for everybody else to understand why this information is so triggering and why it's still very much censored here on a lot of these platforms. Okay, let's move on to your next part here. SOLRETA, how do you want to start?
What I'm going to do is I'm just going to, you know, we talked before about creating that shift, creating that karate chop, and I've got my little flamethrower. And we're just going to have some sage, and everyone at home just to take a nice big deep breath in. And we're just shifting. We're just creating that change. We're just creating that shift. We're just cutting off any energies that no longer needed. And we're just going to look into the cards and just ask, what is it that we need to know in relation to this quantum reality? And we're connecting only to that which is of the best and the highest good.
And guys, while SOLRETA is pulling her cards here, and if you like this information, please do support this show, because of course we are censored here on YouTube and demonetized. So if you can support us financially, that would be awesome. You can use the PayPal tip jar link below here. It's in the description box and it's also in the chat now. So thank you so much, everyone, for your generosity.
So I think we might have a few new people on today, but I just want to show. So when I pick cards, I have them face down. So I like to feel in with psychometry, like with that power of touch and with energy, just to see what we get first, so that I'm getting that psychic impression. And that's how I guess I'm very different from others that read cards, in that I like to read it in what that energy field of the card is speaking to my energy. So it's using quantum, and then we'll flip it. So what I'm feeling with this, I'm getting the energy of, it's almost like this box of light that they're showing me. It feels like it's like a cube, and it's light, and it's filled with this opalescence energy. And what they're showing me is this is almost like the energy of quantum potential. Now, what happens when you get into negative state? You can filter, water it down, and it starts to fray and starts to fall apart. The energy of what they're showing me is, you know, like if you hold like a bowl of slime in your hand and it starts out being dense and starts sort of feeling compacted, but if you give it a little squish, it can kind of fall to mush. So they're showing it's like, in order to have this quantum potential in more of like a manifestable channeled state, we need to keep that mindset. We need to keep that energy quite like a strict, how would I say, like a strict rein around the energy of what we're trying to manifest and our intention and purpose. If we let it sort of start to get filtered out, we let other people water it down, it's going to fall out of our hands. We're not going to have as much quantum potential to work with. It's like the energy will be split. And this is what they're trying to show me. So they're giving me that vision and that download around that. I'll just see what else we have. All right, so they're talking about going into present state. So they're saying that when we're manifesting, thinking about that as kind of like the building brick or the energy of what we're doing, but they're saying it's really important to come into the present moment. And they're talking about so much of when we're manifesting, we're visualizing future outcome, and everyone's talking about visualizing in the future or visualizing, what it feels like and that. But they're saying bring your energy and intention before you even think about manifesting, bring it into the present. So breathe, connect in, maybe, hands on your heart, hands on your solar plexus. Bring that energy back in, because they're like, your energy might still be down at the supermarket thinking about an interaction you had. Bring all of your energy, call it into the here and now. And what comes up in some of the readings that I do is that some of our energies are still back in past lives, or they're back to do with relationships, different things. So really important to call it back into the here and now. So they're showing me that. And then what I'm getting is that spirit is opening up a dialogue. They're opening up a conversation to do with humans reaching their higher potential. So we'll flip these cards in a second, see what it is. But I'm seeing a lot of golden energy. And what they're showing me is coming in on the left-hand side. So left is about intuition, and it's coming into the emotional field. So they're with a lot of you right now as we're speaking. So if you're feeling an energy, breathe into that. Let that be received if it feels good for you. But I'm seeing a lot of gold come in from myself and for some of the viewers that are watching too. So it's like they're energetically giving us the downloads to this. They're giving us the keys as we're listening and talking about this. So I'll flip this over. This is perfect. So we were just speaking about keys and speaking about golden energy and downloads. And that is what we have in the card, Queen of Cups. This is the gold energy that I just spoke about that Spirit is giving us. So when I speak about something, and for those of you that have had the personal readings with me, JC, you're one of them, and you see that I work with feeling the cards this way, receiving the message first from Spirit. The reason they get me to work with the cards, because I didn't used to work with cards a long, long time ago. I used to just channel direct. For our human consciousness, for our mind, for validation, for us to put our energy, they said this word yesterday, attenergy. And it's not even a word. It equals energy and attention. When we put our energy towards something, this is where the power lays. So they're really just giving us that confirmation for exactly what they said. Here is the gold energy they're talking about giving us and downloading. So we can see this as a literal physical representation of what they're describing. Now, this talks about being in that divine feeling state, getting in touch with your feeling, in touch with your intuition, in touch with that inner nurturer. The Queen is the most intuitive, or the Queen of Cups is the most intuitive queen out of all of the cards that we have, but her intuition comes from that feeling being in body. So it's about coming into that present moment. When we were talking about like quantum potential, and we're talking about that energy cube with all the glitter and opalescence, but it being something that we need to nurture. It can be something that starts to fracture or starts to kind of disseminate if we water it down. We had the Queen of Discs, so we've got two queens come up in relation to this. So this is really asking us to up our level of awareness, up our level of self-knowledge. So Queen of Discs is about doing it on the earth. But what we can see, and this is so ironic, because you know how I just said that I saw a cube, and look what's in the wand. It's a Merkaba inside a cube.
Nice.
So this is another representation of why I work with the psychic energy of it first before flipping the cards. To me, this is the way this deck wants to be worked with as well. But yeah, we can see in this little cube, so cube representing third dimensional reality, and the Merkaba represents that light body. So we need to have our light body, we need to call our energy into the here and now, in the physical. This is what they were talking about. So when I look at the card to do with the present moment, and I should say this is Capricorn energy, this is high achiever energy. So for some of you out there today, this will just be making sense. This will be resonating. So please apply this into practice. And I have something that I'll talk about in the end that we can do to actually quantum jump, to shift. So we have Prince of Cups come in reverse. So what I'm hearing Spirit say is that for too many of us, we're letting our energy be watered down. We're letting, this draining happen, because we want to bring it in. We want to be like, this is the energy and attention that I'm bringing towards, my goals and my dreams. And this beautiful Prince of Cups, and we've got 2 queens and we've got a prince. This is a really high level energy that we're working with in regards to manifestation. He's a blue ET. I just want to say that because I do feel that it is ET energy that we're connecting and talking with around this quantum manifestation. We have the eagle. So what is it that you're not seeing? What is it that you're not looking at from a higher perspective? For some of you out there, I'm actually individually connecting with a few, and I feel that it's around self-worth. And what I mean by this is the ETs and the higher dimensional beings want you to look at how much you're loved, that they're there in support. Yes, they're not in the physical dimension. They're not manifesting and having a cup of tea with us right now, like a lot of us would be like, that would be amazing. They do peer through the dimension. They do come through the veil. But they're wanting you to know that you are so loved. You're so loved on this higher level. That is why they are here, surrounding our dimension. That's why they're existing just outside our realm. If only we could see, visualizing, say, for example, this being the energy of Earth. If only you could see that they have their hands up. They have their hands up, sending healing, sending love, trying to get us to our best and highest good. And this is also connecting with the original people's story of making that shift, holding this vibration within us, and doing good by other people too. So what we have with this in reverse, we've forgotten our medicine. We've forgotten who we are. We've forgotten that we're divine. We've forgotten that we're creators. Please, start anchoring that. Start creating that in your day. Set your intention from the moment that you wake up, knowing that you're a creator. Instead of waking up going, oh, I've got to do this today. Think about what it is that you wish to create. So we have this Prince of Cups has a kundalini snake starting to emerge out of this cup. So we can see that raising of frequency. We can see that the vision, the eagle on top of the head, that he's flying with it. He's being guided. He's using that intuition. And then, he's bringing that medicine that's coming in the right hand too. Now, this also speaks to me of air. This speaks to me of getting the mindset in, getting the intellect, getting the intelligence lined up, getting that belief system lined up with your emotion. This is to do with aligning your head and your heart, because we have the water, which speaks about emotion as well, and speaks about what we create, what we pop into the world. Now, the reason that we've got water come up in a reflection of 2 of these cup cards is to do what we're going to speak about. So there's a little bit of an experiment that we can talk about at the end to do with quantum jumping. But they're reminding me, because I forgot all about that I was going to talk about that. So we're also bringing that into the cards too. But I mean, this card speaks for itself. Look at this ripple effect, because that's what we're doing when we're really, creating in this quantum reality. And I just want to say, for anyone that really wants to look at this and how this personally relates, I definitely recommend getting a session with me so that we can look into what's happening. What is it that you've got that quantum entanglement happening in life, and what is it that we can do? What is the advice from spirit and from higher self and from spirit guides to to get us to that next step, to have that quantum jump? What is the higher energy potential that we see happening in your auric field around you? And that is the difference, I guess, in having booking a session one-on-one as opposed to, doing a general. I mean, this is still really good information coming in a general, but we can see that energy coming in from, like we were talking before, that high level. So we need to be connected. We need to come into alignment. And I'm just seeing someone saying down the bottom, jump, let's jump. I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
But I'm just going to ask them for if there's any clarification that they want to give us through and a deck of cards as well, especially on this last card.
Okay.
Are we going for time?
Oh, yeah, I have time. The next show is at 8, so I have 45 minutes max, so we should be able to.
Perfect.
Okay. While you pull those cards, let me take this opportunity to thank our PayPal tip jar donators. Ariel, thank you for sharing your gifts with us. SOLRETA, you have a beautiful soul. We are blessed and grateful for you. Thank you, JC, for another amazing interview. Thank you so much. I appreciate that, Tuan. Thank you so much. Bonnie, thank you. Adriano, Nicole, thank you. So appreciate you both. Walter, thank you so much, Walter. He's in the chat. Thank you. Love you, JC. SOLRETA is my favorite. You should have SOLRETA and Megan Rose medium together. Oh, maybe. Speaking of that, Megan Rose is coming back to the show. It will be on April 27th at 8 p.m. You can see the little
I just
poster
thought
on
a
here.
little bit of that show. That was really interesting. She's got a beautiful energy and a lovely way
Oh,
about
yeah.
her.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think you two together would work well too, for sure. Yeah, that's a good suggestion. Thank you so much. Lisa DiMartino, thank you so much. Thank you, JC, for your show. SOLRETA, thank you for reading. Jennifer Holtz, I love you guys. Thank you so much. Love you too. And I think we're at the beginning there. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate that. All right, so back to the card.
So with this deck, I always flip this one. So I'm just going to flip them over. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay, this is awesome. So here we go again. Another cup card. This is the Ace of Cups. So the clarification of what Spirit is saying is they really want us to know that here is this opportunity. And it's kind of a cosmic joke because we were talking about the water, like with the other side of the dimension and the hand on that. And here is this hand holding a cup, appearing out of thin air. So this white peace dove holding the wafer represents, that God spirit. The upside down M represents that Archangel Michael energy. So this is really high frequency energy that is working with wanting humanity to come into the truth of who they are. So it's to know that we are already divine. The things that we've been told or programmed with are kind of like that illusion. We have a period of time or at this point in time, they're talking about that we have a choice to make. So we've been blinded for far too long. We can see the blindfold. Now, what's interesting is that both swords look the same. They look identical. So, we have this choice into which way do we go? Do we do with the same with what's already been, or do we create something new? They still both look the same. They're still having our energy and our attention and our focus. So, it's really clear. A lot of us will go, well, pick the good one, pick the highest option, pick the one that, wants to take you forward. But in order to do that, we need to look into what brings us into this calm state. The water is calm in the background. So first we must sit in meditation. We must get into that quantum field and into that present moment, because not being in that present moment, it's really hard to make that jump, to make that shift. So we can also see this moon energy in the background. So this really speaks about not only like cycles and times and different things. It talks about doing that shadow work. It talks about bringing up who it is that we truly are as well, so that we can start resonating and start vibing on this level. But it means that we have to do the darker shadow work. We need to let go of these things that are burdening us, that are blinding us to the world. Then we also have, for some of you, might be ready to kind of like jump into this state and jump into this state as well. But for others, this might mean cutting yourself off from certain things too. So we can see that this person's turned their back on what it was that they were manifesting, and they're having a little bit of a timeout. It's almost that they're turning and becoming this hermit energy, heading towards that cave. And it's a very base level thing because he's clothed in red. So it's connected to survival. And we can have various different forms of survival, whether it's physical survival, whether this is energetic survival, whether you're being hit with a bombardment of things and you need to pare it back and strip things back to realize what's important. This is talking to me about, Joe Dispenza's meditations are awesome. I agree. Right. So what we have too is there is an eclipse happening. So I feel that this is that moment, that window in time where Spirit is calling us to do this work. So this is just talking about, for those of you that still need to do some of the work, make the time. The time won't happen for you. You need to get into the present. You need to create it. You need to make it. You need to do something to switch, to step outside the ordinary. So yeah, that's what I have in the cards. But yeah, I just want to leave it on this one, remembering our quantum potential. What we create up here, becomes a direct reflection for the world of which we're living in. This is an echoing through dimensions.
Right. I love it. And what you just said also about making the time. Yes, absolutely. Every day, move the needle just a little bit further, even just a little bit, but move it forward every day, because the system is designed to move it the other direction. So if you're not moving forward, you're moving backward. So make the time and you'll be better for it. Somebody was saying
one thing, and I'm just going to, sorry, JC, I just want to just note like what you do. You were such a clear example of moving the needle forward. Like you're doing 2-3 shows in one night. You're not just moving the needle forward. And I'll use my crystal to demonstrate this. You're not just like going like this, moving the needle forward. You're just like, yeah, let's just crank this. Let's just turn it all the way up and see what happens.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I'm energized by it. I'm having fun. And I know, like, I'm being guided to, right? I have those
I know you are.
voices in my head. And I know that we're in a hurry. I know that we're at the 11th hour. I know so many things are happening. And I know at the same time, there's so many new people looking for this too. I'm like, well, let's put the content out as best as we can, as fast as we can. And John replied to us, by the way. He said, yeah, I heard you. Okay. He understands now the censorship. He thought we were just holding back for shits and giggles, but it wasn't about that. No, absolutely. I wanted to address this. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was just shuffling, and sometimes like when I'm shuffling, spirit will throw a card out. So they literally landed this face up on my desk so that it was right there for me to see. So when I touched the card, I heard them say, this is the result. For, if you apply and you put your energy, attention, and focus to this, it's the card of gain. Look at the light. Look at this manifestation, this ripple effect throughout the dimensions, not just on the physical. So to know that when you're working with yourself to get into peak state and to peak manifestation and to call in all of these things, you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting every single person around you. Now, some of these people will feel a little bit uncomfortable or a little bit like out of sync, like, oh, you've changed, or, trying to find how to relate to us because they might not necessarily have had that quantum shift. But yeah, this is speaking not just, I'm getting high pitch again. This is not just speaking about those in the field around us on the physical plane. This is creating ripples throughout the universe, or multiverses, I should say. So just want to leave with that one.
It's funny you say that, and I'll tell you why. You must be psychic. Okay, so Libby is saying, hey, Megan's interview with Tarot by Janine was amazing. So let me bring that up so that people can see it too. And it was actually Janine who told me, Jean-Claude, you have to have Megan on your show. I'm like, okay. So I sent her an email. I had the interview. It was all because of Janine. I wasn't aware of Megan before Janine told me about her. So anyways, Janine just interviewed her as well. Let me bring the link down for you guys to go check that video. That was really, really cool. And so on the same note, there's a couple, and why I was saying it was connected to what you just said. What was the last thing? Oh yeah, the ripples through time and through the different dimensions. They were both saying this in the last two shows on my channel here, that what we're doing on Earth here right now is having effects everywhere, not just here. So we're part of a much, much, much bigger system.
I just got like chill goosebumps in a good way.
Very good. So speaking of this type of content, guys, if you're new to the show, there's a couple of cool shows coming up this week. Sunday, I have Annika and Gosha for a special Q&A live. That will be a really amazing. Of course, Gosha is from Cosmic Agency. You can find her there on her YouTube. She'll be here on Sunday. Tarot by Janine, again, coming back now. We have a weekly Wednesday show. Amazing. You guys have a lot of love for Janine, and I'm just happy to have her on. It's just amazing. The hour goes by so fast, but those are really, really cool shows, so stay tuned for that. Kate Awakening, she's a new guest to the show. She's coming on April 21st at 3 p.m. She, too, just got her YouTube channel deleted for the work that she's doing, so I'm excited to have her on and to help her rebuild here as well. So we'll have that conversation with her, and we'll talk about this great Kate Awakening as well. So it's a matter of time. So again, everything we're doing now is really galvanizing where we're going here in this next cycle. So this conversation here will be really cool. So please join us for that. Of course, Jenny Moonstone's coming back, and this is a new series. Jenny and I, of course, you guys know we do quite a few shows here. She's been a regular guest since the beginning of my show in my previous channel. And we're going to switch gears here and talk a little bit more about disclosure, ETs, what they mean, and all of this stuff, because we are moving closer to this disclosure, at least from officialdom. That's what they're telling us. But we are also coming closer to a disclosure with people like us here who are having contact and who are getting open communication with our star family. So we need to have more of these conversations because people are still afraid about that. There's still maybe potentially a government initiative that wants to scare us with that, whether that's Project Bluebeam, alien invasion, all of that. So having these shows and start to talking about this in a serious way, and also not too seriously, we have to have fun sometimes, will really help reduce the fear factor as we move into this great awakening here. And so join us for that show. This one too, again, on a very similar theme. We had a lot of fun, Elena and I, putting this poster together. And here, of course, it's where no woo has gone before. So here too, we're talking a lot about ETs and UFOs and how and where our place, humanity is, and where it fits into all of this. So she's coming back here. This is the second part of this series on April 26th, and there we go. We're back to our channel. Okay, needed to get through all of that. Thank you so much, everyone. Let me check the PayPal tip jar again. Let me just refresh that, make sure that I have thanked everyone here tonight. And while I do that, SOLRETA, is there anything else you want to share with the audience that you're feeling guided to share right now?
Yeah, so I was just getting guided to share. I've noticed, like within my own reality too, that, and with some of the other ET experiences that I'm friends with, we're all being guided to come back together. And, you know, I've got friends all over. Oh, thank you, Gary. So I've got friends all over the world that have ET experiences. So what I'm noticing is that we're all kind of merging and coming back together or having these synchronicities. So it's not just my local community. I'm noticing it within the wider. It's like just this feeling of magnetic attraction. And we're coming back, having conversations, supporting each other. Ah, thank you, Omar.
Look at this one. This one's good too. 25. Wow.
Thank you. No, my oldest daughter is 20, turning 21 this year. Thank you. It must be those ET genes.
Yep.
Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Thank you. Distracting me from what I was
I know, I'm
talking
sorry. Love, I had to share it.
Thank you. No, that's so sweet. But yeah, just notice like who you're really being drawn to at the moment as well. Thank you. You just have the most beautiful audience. I'm so blessed. And thank you to everyone that's come across and shown love on my channel. I will be putting out more videos. I've been doing just a couple to do with like the astrology and going through like the 12 signs of the zodiac and doing, so we just did the Aries new moon, and we did a reading for each of the signs in relation to Aries new moon. So we have the full moon coming up soon. So we'll be doing one for that as well. In the middle of like moving house and things.
Right.
And if you did need an appointment like ASAP, because I am booked up for the next couple of months, I think until, when is it? I'll need to go and check, but I know that I'm booked up for this month at least, and possibly into next month. But what I can do, if you do need an emergency appointment, because I know there is big shift stuff happening to do with the planets at the moment, just send me a message, perhaps like on Instagram or Facebook. I will try and get to the emails. I do sometimes see them come through there, but yeah, connect with me, like send me a friend request on those.
Very good. And so I just brought the link to your last all zodiac signs reading. When's the next one of this?
I would have to get my calendar. Let me see if I've got it here.
All right. And let me bring up your website again here.
1 second. I'll be right back.
Okay. So folks, while SOLRETA looks for that, let me bring you back to her website here, and let me show that to you guys here. There you go. And please do go. So if you're watching here on Beyond Mystic, please go to SOLRETA's YouTube channel and hit that subscribe. She's putting more and more content there, and she has quite a few more coming up here very soon as well. So you don't want to miss that. And vice versa, if you're watching this episode here from SOLRETA's channel and you like what you're hearing and you want to hear more, please do come back here and subscribe to Beyond Mystic. This is our backup new channel on YouTube. Let me bring the link back down in the chat for you guys. All right, SOLRETA, your schedule.
Yeah, so I've got a few shows coming up. I'm doing a couple of collaborations with some other people. So I will try and put notifications out when they're happening, but I will be doing one on my own YouTube channel for the Scorpio full moon. So there's a little bit of chills coming with that one. So it's an intense energy, Scorpio full moon. And that will be on, it will be on my Tuesday, the 27th, which I guess will be probably like your Monday or possibly early Tuesday morning for you guys over there.
Okay. And have you already set a poster for this? I don't see it.
No, not yet.
Okay. Okay.
I'm in the process of moving house and things too.
Oh,
so
yeah. Yeah.
It was like, do I take all of these books and put them in boxes before the show? I thought, I'll wait until after. So I'll probably be in a different space next time I talk to you.
Awesome. All right. So let me see if I have anything else in the chat here. Oh, I think I have to thank a few people here. Yes. Okay. So let me go back here. Anne-Marie, thank you so much. Thank you, SOLRETA. I resonated with that message. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Robert Carr, thank you twice. Thank you so much. That's great. I'll send one of those to SOLRETA. Yolanda, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Linda,
That's so
thank you so much. Ariel, are we back to where we were? I think we were. Thank you so much. Yeah, we're here. Okay, so I got everybody. Thank you so much, everyone, for donating. Really appreciate that. Of course, we are living under this economic warfare. So if you're here and you like this channel, please do support us. We don't have the unlimited credit card, $1 million salaries like the folks at CNN. So we really do appreciate your work and your help here for us to continue to work. So thank you so much. Okay, so back to you, SOLRETA. Can you check to see if you still have bookings open for this coupon code before we leave, so people don't try afterwards? Are you able to do that live?
I think so. Hold on a sec. I'm not sure. Can you guys still see me if I shut that window?
That's okay. Yeah, I can see you.
Let me just check.
All right. And while I do that, so folks, if you're joining us now, there is a coupon code for SOLRETA's 2-hour reading session. And it's only for the first 10 people here tonight. Of course, she's very busy. So let me bring the link back down.
I'm just having a look. I'm not too sure because I can't check it on this end. My son is using my phone for hotspot right now because I said to him he needed to hop off the internet.
Of course, that's always how it works.
In Australia. So it's just
give it a try. Give it a try if you can. Coupon code is the word mystic in high caps, and the link and the coupon code description is in the description box below. So
and that's for the 2-hour session. Yeah, because I've got another app on my phone that lets me know booking wise what's happening, but it won't let me do that on here.
Oh, okay.
Sorry about that.
So guys, you might still have a chance. That I was trying to get at. If you still have a chance, maybe like the person over there said, jump, let's do it. So give it a try. All right, SOLRETA. I still have 15 minutes. I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to share, or it's up to you. Do you want to take a question maybe for the audience? Yeah,
let's do that.
Yeah? Okay. Somebody was asking you earlier if it was possible to cut energetic cords related to no longer useful contracts or word to that effect. I think it was Ronnie who was asking that. So let's try to, it was higher up in the chat. If I find it, I'll bring it up on screen, but I believe that was the question.
The energy of it.
Yeah.
Okay, so the energy of like where I'm seeing that be held is around sacral chakra. So when you were talking about that person and talking about what I saw was orange around sacral chakra, and I saw, getting a bit of feedback. Is that my end or your end?
I don't hear it here.
Oh, no, it's gone. Okay. So yeah, what I was seeing was just energies or cords around, someone saying, it was breaking soul ties. Is that the right person that you were talking about?
Which one are you saying? Yeah, breaking soul ties. No, I'm not sure it was the same person. For some reason, I thought it was Ronnie.
Yeah.
It was about energetic cords and contracts that are no longer needed, like rescinding contracts and odes and something like that, I think it was.
Okay.
I'm sorry, it rolled off the buffer, guys. I can't pick it up again.
And I can see someone saying about the site isn't real or says not secure. So my website, go to SOLRETA. It's SOLRETA.com, or you can go to SOLRETAPsychicreadings.com, both domains that I own. That is the only way to book a session with me as well.
Okay. Oh, what they're pointing at is you probably don't have your SSL, or your hosting provider doesn't have the SSL up to date. I see that here, the non-secure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you could probably ask your hosting provider about that.
Yeah, I'll get someone to look at it. But yeah, I haven't had any issues with anything. I'm just seeing into these cards. So yeah, what I'm seeing is a lot of orange. So a lot of, I guess, these attachments and things, I feel like they're in that space, which is like the womb space energy. So I'm just going to flip these over because I know we're short on time. Yeah, so we've got 3 of disc, which is on the physical. And I feel that this is like, trying to get that initial achievement or initial energy going. Then we have the Aeon. So remember I said that I saw orange and I talked about the womb energy or like that sacral chakra That's what this represents. This yellow upside down balloon is a womb energy. So definitely feel like that's where some of these energies and I guess attachments and things are held. Then we've got science coming in reverse. So with this, it is the Six of Swords. There's a lot of like Mercury and thinking and stuff coming in, but it was coming in reverse. So it's asking you to let go of old strings, old attachments. And we can see that here. Look at this chatter. Look at this going around. See all this like little psychic static, almost like a static electricity. So what we're looking at is, this is like, I guess, the blueprint. This is like, you know, what it can be on a good level. But if we're putting this energy and attention into this space, or this energy like this, if we're kind of filling it up and we're not clearing out that static electricity, not clearing out that static energy, it's not going to lead to something that's productive. So the advice that they're giving is Knight of Wands. Now, for those of you that watch me do cards, you know that I call this my Tony Robbins card. So this is about changing emotional state. It's that karate chop. It's changing state, doing something that disrupts the pattern, disrupts the energy of the old. So not feeling into, oh, I always feel like this, or I always get the same. Okay, what can I do to physically change it? What can I do to change the energy of it? Now, it usually involves having to reach outside of yourself. You can do things if it's sort of like a lower level energy, meaning like, you know, put music on, or, you know, light some sage, do things like that to kind of shift that field, to shift that state. Now, this is asking you to summon up a big amount of courage, especially on a subconscious level. This is asking you to get into that right mindset, that right peak state. So it's not something that you can just go like this and do. You have to, I guess, if we look at it in hypnotherapy terms, like you have to get into hypnotic state. You have to summon up this courage to walk over those hot coals, to get to the other side. You don't just want to light a fire, you know, wait for the coals, the fire to go out and walk over the hot coals. You need to get yourself in state. You need to prepare, just like, you know, Iceman would do, you know, like Wim Hof, you know, has to psych himself up, has to do the breathing preparation to go into that ice state. He would be the physical representation on the cold side of things, whereas Tony Robbins is the hot side of things. But it's asking you to get into peak state. So it really is about stepping outside of the way that you've done things, and the way that things perhaps haven't worked in the past, because you need to get another result. So yeah, that's the message I have in connection with that.
Very good. And if we can do a last one very quickly, this person has asked a question a few times here. I saw it scroll by. Moni, Stefani, please draw a card for us. I'm moving overseas in a big life move.
Oh, okay.
I think her and her mom, I think she said earlier. Let's try to give her some clarity there.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Let's have a look. Oh, we just had cards fall out. These are coming out face up, actually. This is just where Spirit's guiding me. They were starting to fall out anyway. So we have Ace of Swords. This is a new opportunity for you. And we can see the clouds parting. We can see that you're coming into energetic alignment. And that's where the inspiration for the move. So like, say if we have that as the light bulb moment, you know, going off over the head, and you've taken action on it. But there is a little bit of energy coming in at the moment that might be like fears and spiralings, kind of like making you doubt, you know, am I doing the right thing? So what they're saying, the word collective. What the collective is asking you at the moment is that you cancel this out. So you stop listening to other people's fears and worries, you know, ones that perhaps would not make that leap of faith for themselves. They're just saying cancel it out. Start to, you know, keep swiping that away. Then we've got this rainbow that's manifested. This is the organized energy. This is the quantum jump. This is the intention. Remind me to speak about the quantum jump experiment too. So we have Sagittarius and Mercury. So Sagittarius being that bow and arrow that like goes, this is my vision board. This is my goal. This is what I'm firing for. If you want to transcend that, and you want to step outside of that level and get to the next spot, which I feel is the jump in between, because I've got 3 cards, but I feel like there should be a 4th. So I'm going to speak about the card, which is, you know, that high priestess energy, that empress energy, where she sits on that throne that's made of stone. She sits on something solid, and she puts the bow and arrow on her legs, and she holds her arms up, you know, to manifest and call it in, to literally feel that which she desires and calls it in as though it's so. So you can think about it as, if we're looking at it in a quantum way, it's like you're playing this music, you're playing this harp, you're playing this frequency, and the universe is responding in that. And what you're setting up is responding in this. So you're going to get sympathy notes come back in. You're going to get little vibrations come back in from the universe, and synchronicities, because that's what synchronicities are sometimes, is that, vibration coming back in. Then we have the card of gain. So really step into getting into that vibrational state of what it is that you want to attract. And then you'll start to feel that come in. So it gives sort of like a little taste into the readings of like what I do. But of course, these are general, but in a one-on-one situation, we can get into that expanded state and talk about it a lot more in depth. But it is a line of this. This is about manifesting what it is that you desire on the earth.
That's beautiful. And Jenny is saying, of course, I highly recommend your drawing. Yes, I know. I've had mine done. It's really cool. So give that a try, folks. Okay, we have about 10 minutes before I need to switch over for the next live. So let's do this last one here on quantum jumping. Any techniques you want to share with the audience? Let's do that.
Yeah. So I've noticed a few people talk about the water technique. And I guess the value that I add to that, because there is a few people, if you Google quantum jump, cup technique or water technique, you'll see examples out of that. So I just want to pull, there's a little book here that I just want to reference. So if we look at the way that water presents to me and the way that water talks about, it is something almost like a container for consciousness. So water has been on the earth since way before we were here, and it contains everything that has ever happened. It holds an energetic imprint, but we can program water too. So when we look into the water molecules of emotion, Dr. Emoto's work, we have the water crystals. So we can see that one's in a little bit of disharmony.
Oh, let me bring you up. You were too far. Let me bring you back up there.
Oh, this is ironic. Okay, so we're talking about manifestation, and guess what page it's open up to? We have a crystal that represents the god of poverty, and then up above it, we have the god of happiness and wealth. So we can see that with the god of poverty, which is, I'm just going to go to, which one are we on? This one. So this is the god of poverty at the bottom. We can see that this is that watering down, that cube, that, the cube of glitter that we talked about before when we were doing cards to represent the energy and intention being kind of like a bit wishy-washy. We can see that it's kind of blurred and fuzzy because it's still focused on poverty. When we step in and we look at it in the higher state, the god of happiness and wealth, look at the quantum potential that we're seeing in this. So with the water technique and quantum jumping, you have a cup of water and you write on it what is the current state of what's happening. So it might be, finances or relationships, and you just state on there sort of like what's happening. Just a little sticky note, you can pop it on your cup. And then on the other cup, and I like to work with glass because it has a certain quality that doesn't interfere with the water. Even if you can work with crystal, even better. Then you take the other one, you write down on it what it is that you manifest, but you call it into as though it's already happening. We want to bring it into the present. So it might be, I am healthy, I am wealthy, I'm in a beautiful, divine, loving or mutual loving relationship. Write it what it is. And then you want to see, you want to put that intention, you want to put that energy into it and literally see it as manifesting. Feel yourself vibrating in what it feels like on an emotional level to be in that state as though it's happening in the now, and you're sitting across from that other person, you're in that loving embrace, or you're doing those things that, because money is a vehicle. So it's doing those things that money provides the vehicle to do. So it might be taking your children on a holiday. It might be, having a nice dinner with your family, different things like that. Like there's various different levels. So you'll know what it is for you. Anyway, so when you've done and you've set that energy and intention and focus, you only have to do it for, just a minute or so. Then tip that water and you're going to pour that. You're going to pour that quantum change program water, that crystalline water. That's that beautiful, beautiful, where is it? This one. You're going to program this into the cup, and that's going to help change that reality that you were currently experiencing. And that's going to be that quantum jump. So I've heard amazing things from it. I've been playing around with a couple of quantum jump things, and it has been manifesting like crazy. So,
you know what's cool about what you just said too? I have a Merkaba in my water filter So my whole
Oh,
water is taking the shape of the Merkaba, right? Because it takes
yeah.
memory of the shape. So I'm wondering now if somebody's made physical representations of those crystals that you have now, and you could put that in your glass of water, like an ice cube type of thing. But
Oh,
it would
yeah,
be like
that's
a
a great
crystal made
idea.
out of a crystal. Wouldn't that be cool?
Oh, I
So
think
there's a
you and
business
I
idea for somebody.
I had a beautiful person from the Dr. Emoto Foundation in Japan actually send me the stickers. So on my water filter, I have love and gratitude in these kind of forms. I've
Right.
got stickers like that. So the kids and I are drinking water that's programmed.
Yeah. Little tricks. Well, there you go, folks. We have fun tonight, and we give you a few tricks. All right, cool. I love it. SOLRETA, I gotta go, man. I have to prep for the next show, and I have to do a few.
I love you all. I love you, Jason.
Okay, so last words to the audience. Anything, maybe words of encouragement moving here, because we have a lot of energies and a lot of trepidation for a lot of people, and also there's even bigger changes coming up here in the next couple of months, even bigger than last year. So
Yeah.
maybe last words of encouragement here to the audience who feel a bit uneasy with all of this.
Yeah. I guess if you're feeling inspired by the chat that we've had tonight, do something about it. Do something that's going to anchor this further and keep the ball rolling into where it is that you want to go. So whether it's booking a session with myself, or whether it's, trying out this energy, quantum jump that we just talked about, do something different that's going to anchor the future that you want to live.
Well, there you go. It's very simple. It's very simple. I love it. And of course, don't forget, folks, to go like and share and subscribe to SOLRETA and Teria here on YouTube, and also here on Beyond Mystic. And that's it for tonight, folks. I love you guys. And SOLRETA, are we on for part 4 next Friday? Or are you moving? We're taking a week off?
I'm actually moving.
Right. Okay. Okay, so you and I will be in contact by email. And folks, so if you're looking for part 4 here, we'll book it eventually, but just look at our schedule on the calendar here, and you'll see that coming up very shortly. All right, folks, thank you so much for being here. I'm Jean-Claude Beyond Mystic. Au revoir.